It's Super Bowl Sunday, and what a better day to start kicking off the NFL draft prospects. So this I do every single season. And if you watch the previous video clip that I put out, only one analyst got it right. And I hit on numerous picks and numerous calls last year in 2023. And I plan on doing the same thing this season. So stick around, pay attention, because we're going to get deep into it. And I found an intriguing prospect, one that I like. Obviously, the combine is going to give me a little bit more information. I know it's just the Pajama Olympics and it doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people, but it does to me because I get to see a few things that I'm not able to see on tape during a game. And I'll pay more attention to the hips, and how they're getting in and out of their breaks, where they're catching the ball out in front or in close. There's just a lot of little things that I look at and things that I like to pick up and put it to the test and compare it to the tape to see if it's the same or, when they perform in the Pajama Olympics, is it glorified? And I think I have a pretty good eye. So this first one, Theo Johnson. And yes, I put a slight comparison to Sam Laporta, and by the end of this video, you will figure out why. But Theo Johnson, Penn State tight end, he's 6'6", 257 pounds was his most recent listing. Runs the 40 in a 4.54. That's pretty darn good for a tight end of his size. 10-inch hands, 32.5-inch arms, but his wingspan, 81.25 inches, ranks in the 85th percentile. Now, his 40 ranks in the 94th percentile, which is incredible. So I love the ability for this guy with his speed, his size, and listening to him. I listened to a few interviews. Sounds like a pretty good guy. Player symmetry, he was kind of noted to be similar to Luke Schoonmaker of U of M and Zach Kuntz, but I see some darn near identical playability to Sam Laporta. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Sam Laporta, but I like how this guy functions. So let's talk about the pros first. Johnson is more of a possession receiver. In my opinion, he's got very reliable hands. He shows the willingness to make catches in traffic over the middle. It may not show up all the time, but I do see the ability to run after the catch being a complementary piece to his game and his playing style. He's very hard to take down. He's a big body. Usually you see 2-3 guys trying to get him down, when he's running after the catch. He's got great ball security, especially after the catch. He knows what to do with it right away. But especially in traffic jams over the middle, he pulls the ball down quickly. He gets it into his cradle and he doesn't let go. Over the middle, though, I do like how he's able to play over the middle and run routes over the middle. It's a lot what we see out of Sam Laporta, too. He's used primarily with a lot of routes over the middle and a couple up the seam. But this over the middle work that you're seeing now out of tight ends is something that's been around for a while, but it's being utilized more often with these possession receivers, guys that have the ability to get north and knife through the traffic, if you will. It's a great attribute to have. He definitely has some really good concentration and focus on the football first. He's not afraid of what's going on around him when he is entering, that zone in the middle of the field where, a lot of guys get banged up. Non-typical speed. So like I mentioned in the beginning, 94th percentile for his 40. So non-typical speed for this guy. And he is a former wide receiver, so he runs like one too. Has very soft hands when catching the ball, explosive off the line, good quickness and body control throughout his route, and solid strength and effort to beat tackles after the catch. He does break tackles at about a 10% clip. If I were to compare that to Sam Laporta, I think Sam Laporta is right around 9.4%. But again, for his size, these are traits that you don't always see. They don't always show up for these big tight ends. So everything that I just mentioned, very good qualities, makes him a rare candidate. He's kind of down right now in that 7th to 11th tight end for the 2024 draft, and that's okay. I don't mind if Brad Holmes finds him in a later round, and there's still the opportunity for him to slide up. I mean, I watched Devin Witherspoon slide up to the number 1 corner last year, and I called it. He was hovering in that 10th, range back in December of 2022, and he flew up the charts before the draft. A few guys did. Here are my cons. This is a 50-50 pro con kind of this first one. So 50-50 because he has the versatility to run the larger route tree. But in the wide open spread offense that Penn State ran, he ran a limited route assignment. And being a former receiver, this is the 50-50 part, I would suggest that he's going to be able to pick up the route tree just fine. So 50, con that, he's lacking some bigger route tree opportunities that Penn State obviously limited. 50 pro, he's a former wide receiver, should be able to pick it up. He is a willing blocker. Now, this is another con. He has decent pad level when engaging, but he seems to lack awareness, relying only on his power or his strength versus good technique. He will need some time to develop and run support, but I feel like he can do it. I feel like with the right work ethic, he'll be able to do it. He'll definitely be able to benefit, during a full offseason with, any team that picks him. But if the Lions are looking for an immediate blocking tight end, this is not the guy just yet. But I do, again, I believe he can get there. Now, this is where I'm going to bring in some of the Sam Laporta comparisons. Now, bear with me now. You may not be able to read these slides. I'll do my best, but oftentimes they're tough to read. So Theo Johnson, the first comparison that I want to make here is with Sam Laporta. Had a QB rating of 74. Sam Laporta did 74 QB rating in 2022 and 93 in 2021. And what that means is when he's targeted, the quarterback has a quarterback rating, passer rating of 74 and 93 respectively in 2022 and 2021. The difference with Theo Johnson, and I'm not sure if these are on these slides. It may not be on these slides, but the difference with Theo Johnson is he banked a quarterback passer rating of 158.3 in 2022 and 135.2 in 2023. I love those odds. I love the fact that the quarterback is able to find him, trusted him, get him the ball, deliver him the ball, and he's able to make the catch. To me, that's head and shoulders above where Sam Laporta was. Now, numbers are numbers, stats are stats. They tell part of the story. They paint a nice picture, but it's not all of it. Sam Laporta caught 53 balls in 592 yards and 1 TD in his last season at Iowa. Now, 592 yards, that's a phenomenal season for a tight end in college. The 1 TD, though, you would have thought that for some people, that would have made them a little nervous. Well, obviously, it didn't make Brad Holmes nervous because Sam Laporta does Sam Laporta things and busted out in his rookie season to have the most dominant rookie season that just about anyone's witnessed in 50 plus years. Sam did record 6 drops, though, in 2022 alone. 6 drops, and I believe that is on here. 2022 advanced stats, kind of in the middle, it says drops 6. Now, the difference with Theo Johnson is that he only had 2 drops in 2023 in his last season at Penn State. And the caveat here is he recorded only 2 drops in each of his 3 seasons at Penn State, totaling 6. So Sam Laporta had 6 in his final season. Theo Johnson only had 2, and Theo Johnson only recorded 6 total throughout his career. Now, he didn't have as many pass opportunities as Sam Laporta did in his freshman or sophomore year, pretty close in his sophomore year, but not the freshman season. The next stat I want to compare is run blocking grade. And I mean, Sam only had a 53.1 per PFF. So it's not really, jumping off the charts, right? It's not something you get excited about. Sam did great in the run blocking game for the Detroit Lions. So I believe here it's all about technique and coaching and getting into the program and really diving into the playbook and understanding your assignment. So you need to be a heady guy. You need to be an intelligent tight end. I don't have any testing marks for Theo Johnson yet. That's why this is, pre-draft, and doing everything pre-draft. More information will come out over the next 5-6 weeks, and we'll have a better understanding just of who Theo is on a surface level. We'll never know everything. So I'm not too worried about Theo in the run support, aspect of his game, because I believe that when you look at what Sam Laporta did, he was just fine. Overall PFF grade, though, for Sam Laporta was an 80.1 in 2022 and a 72.3 in 2021. Theo Johnson's PFF grades were 70.8 in 2022, 62.5 in 2023. So not the best PFF grade, but I think we all know that, PFF grades, again, it's a guide. It's not everything. It's a guide. This is the biggest one for me. One of the biggest ones for me. Congested catch rate right here in the middle on 2022 comparables. Congested catch rate for Sam Laporta, 37.5%. 37.5%. Back to the run grade for Theo Johnson. He was a 55.9. I apologize. I forgot to mention that. He was a 55.9 to Sam's 53.1. But look at this congested catch rate, 75%. I love a guy that goes up and battles for the ball. I love a guy that goes up, in a complete crowded room and comes down with the ball. I love it when a guy is in, triple coverage because there's just a lot of guys around and you come down with the ball. I love it. It's one of the best catches of the game. So this is what I really love about Theo Johnson is that he's not afraid to go up and get after it. The last stat that I will compare, and I don't have one for Sam Laporta to compare because I couldn't find it. Maybe it's on this sheet, but I doubt it. I don't see it. But Theo Johnson, reception rate. This blew my mind. 2023, 94.1%. He's catching 94% of the balls thrown to him. That's incredible. So that's the comparison to Sam, right? Now you got to go watch the tape. And I apologize, I'm not going to do highlights in the beginning of the season. As I whittle this down, I will do some videos with highlights. When I get to my top 25, they'll have highlights embedded. But this is where I'm at. You go compare these guys on the tape, and I see a lot of similarities. I see Theo Johnson needing a little bit of time, but that's okay. I think that he'll develop just fine, and he's going to enter an offense, if the Lions were to take him, that does not need his services right away. He needs to develop his blocking game, and that's about it. Catch a pass or two in the red zone. He's really deadly in the red zone. 7 TDs last season, most of which in the red zone. So overall, here's where I'm at. He is someone that I view as a sleeper. He's definitely a sleeper prospect in this draft. He has the opportunity to move up big time. Big upside, untapped potential. It's real. He's raw, and it's real. Needs some help in the run support. He will benefit highly from the NFL training camp and a full offseason workout program, both for strength and technique. Dialing it in, and I'll use the Lions as an example here, but dialing it in, just how the Lions go about business, they'll have these guys ready. He's not a twitchy tight end like some of the smaller guys, the 6'3" guys. He's more of a glider. He's smooth when running. He shows good agility and balance, whether he's in space, in transition, or when he's covered, when he's starting his routes. He's pretty solid there with his balance and his agility. Dude has tree trunks for legs, man. Big legs. And he likes to power his way through tackles, likes to finish forward, finish first. Seems to find the open passing lanes more often than not, and does not drop targeted passes, as we've already spoken about. Has an exceptional range with his wingspan. He's not afraid to put his body out there. He will dive. He will leap. He will do whatever he needs to do in traffic, out of traffic, off target throws. He goes after it. The biggest factor for me with Johnson, though, it is when he is targeted. Like I mentioned, he catches 94.1% of the catchable balls. His quarterback has an extremely high passer rating of 158.3 in 2022 and 135.2 in 2023. This is a big plus for him. And I feel alone, just that metric alone could push him a little bit up in this draft process. Reliability is key, right? And if you're reliable at catching the ball, a lot of teams are going to hunt you down and put you on a roster. He came from an offense. So this is a detractor that I believe is you shouldn't rest on Theo. I believe that this is, the product of which he's coming from. But he came from an offense that utilized 3 tight ends. It's a lot of competition, not a whole lot of balls to spread around. And most of the targets were red zone, especially with the tight ends. So this limited opportunities for him, especially down the stretch, from the 20 to the 20, he wasn't getting a lot of action. It was always red zone, or mostly red zone, excuse me. Penn State was the only FBS team with 2 tight ends having 7+ TDs in the same season. All 3 of their tight ends finished with a total of 16 in 2023. That's incredible. So they obviously have a tight end, centric style of offense, but they're just not using the tight ends between the 20s. It's, possession downs, red zone. I also think that it should be noted that Penn State quarterback Drew Allar, he only threw for 2,631 yards last season. And their leading receiver only had 673 yards and 4 TDs. Whereas Theo Johnson had, where did I put it? I'll come back to that. Theo Johnson had 341 yards, 7 touchdowns. So, comparing him to the number 1 wide receiver on the team, yeah, half as many yards, but he almost had twice as many touchdowns. The ball was spread around a lot. With limited yardage, obviously limited balls to go around. That's why this guy's season, is limited to 34 catches, 341, but 7 TDs. So a lot of upside, a lot of untapped potential. He's a little bit raw. He's going to need some help, but these are the types of picks, in my opinion, that Brad Holmes loves. He loves a guy that, maybe has a little bit of a chip, maybe a little bit raw, but he has it. Just needs a little bit of development and a little bit of time. You can get him a little bit later on. If I say a little bit one more time, I swear, a little bit later on in the draft, and you really reap the value, right? Draft day, though, here's where I'm at. I think he'll land somewhere between the 4th and the 7th tight end taken right now, as I'm reviewing this now. That might change in about 4 or 5 weeks. So this could put him day 2. He could also slip to day 3. Now, this is my early projections. I think that if he makes it to round 3, I believe that Brad Holmes will use our second, third round pick to take Theo Johnson. If everything stays the same, he looks good at the combine. Maybe he looks a little better at the combine. But this is also a guy that could slide way up. So keep your eye on Theo Johnson. I'll have a better idea of, like I said earlier, his hips, his speed, his other intangibles that are not showing up right now, in a limited amount of tape that there is on this guy. And I haven't gone through and watched a bunch of Penn State games on Rewind. So this is what I got right now. I love his ability. I really do. He's a playmaker. I listened to a few of his interviews. Sounds like a pretty sharp guy, pretty grounded guy. And for that reason, I think he could fit the culture. The only thing that I don't have, that all of these organizations will have is all the medical and all the background checks. And I mean, thousands of pages of information on these guys. If they want it, they'll have it. I don't have that. So I can look at it from a surface level. And I believe that Theo Johnson is a playmaker. I think that whatever team lands him this draft is going to be extremely excited they did. So that's it for our first 2024 NFL draft profile. Tight ends, Theo Johnson, Penn State University, mid-round selection right now. A lot of upside. Go get him, Theo. We'll see y'all at the 2024 draft. That's all for Rocked On Detroit Lions in this episode of Draft Profile. Take care. Bye-bye.